So let me first ask you where you discovered the steel in your spine not to break. What was the point at which you said, we cannot do this?
Well, that's a great question because there are some things the federal government can rightly insist upon, and I don't have to agree with those things, but I do have to comply with the law. For example, the end of affirmative action was a change in how we do admissions, and we obey the law. We don't use racial preferences at all in our admissions process. I think we should be able to, but the government disagrees, and we follow the law. That seems pretty straightforward. In our case, we actually got rid of legacy admissions also at that time, because if we're not going to give preferences, we shouldn't give preferences to our alumni either. But there are some things that the government insists upon that are contrary to law, which is to tell universities who to admit, to tell universities how to teach, to tell universities how to understand belonging or fairness on their campuses. And I think the outrageous arrest and threatened deportation of international students really made me stand up and write some essays about this, even though I disagree deeply with the politics of those students. That shouldn't matter. In America, you have the right to speak your mind, whether you have a green card or you're a citizen. And for the federal government to just show up one day at your door and take you away because of the ideas you express, that is anti-American, anti-educational, and undermines our freedom.
Well, I want to ask you about that because you wrote an op-ed in the New York Times, essentially saying, basically, the headline was, "Trump is selling Jews a dangerous lie." And this is one paragraph that you wrote. "Jew hatred is real, but today's anti-Semitism isn't a legitimate effort to fight it. It's a cover for a wide range of agendas that have nothing to do with the welfare of Jewish people. Jews who applaud the administration's crackdown will soon find that they do so at their peril." This is really an important statement. So explain, first of all, the last segment. Will soon find that they applaud this at their peril. You're addressing your own community.
Yes, as a Jew myself, I am appalled that people who support Israel will ally themselves with an administration that is using scapegoating, racism, and which has no trouble supping with Nazis when it's inconvenient for them. I'm appalled that my fellow Jews will support this because they think it would be good for Israel. I myself believe strongly in Israel's right to defend itself. I'm critical of the current government in Israel, but all of that shouldn't matter. The idea that you can say you're fighting anti-Semitism and then cancel DEI programs which actually can be used to protect Jews is absurd. The idea that you say you're fighting anti-Semitism so you're canceling research grants for diabetes research or Alzheimer's research, this is ridiculous. What the Trump administration is doing now is demanding a loyalty oath. They are demanding that schools express loyalty to the president and his current beliefs. This has nothing to do with anti-Semitism. And Jews who align themselves with leaders because they think those leaders are picking on other people, eventually the Jews find themselves the targets of that same abuse. And we've seen this throughout history. The rabbis have talked about it. Beware of governments that seem to be your friend and then violate the law. You may like the way they violate the law now, but in the future, it'll be at our own expense.
So this is very interesting because, as you rightly say, there are a lot of rabbis and Jewish organizations who are voicing what you're saying now. They're very uncomfortable. That picture of the young Turkish student, the female Turkish student, which we're going to run now, being approached by plainclothes people in hoodies and some masks, plain cars, unmarked cars, just swept off the street. That really turned people, across America. And of course, Mahmoud Khalil from Colombia, whose wife is American and pregnant, and again was just whipped off in the middle of the night. The two of these people are still amongst many others, still in detention with no due process. And that started to worry a lot of people. Where do you think this is going to end? What are you doing, for instance, on your campus to ensure the safety of the Jewish community, but not allow this kind of, as you call it, extrajudicial process against some of these students?
Yeah, we've talked a lot on our campus, and it's a small campus, about 3,000 or so students. We talk a lot about the importance of protecting everyone. Everyone should be able to thrive, and anti-Semitism is a real thing, and when we see it, we stop it. But we don't want to see our students living in fear of their own government. I was talking to a group of prospective students this morning and their parents, and someone asked me, how do you find the courage to speak out? And I said to them, listen to yourself. This is America. Why is it a question that we should be afraid to speak out? If I'm a young Palestinian and I want to write an essay in the school newspaper, or if I'm a young Jew and want to write an essay in the newspaper for Palestinian rights, I shouldn't be worried that the government is going to crack down on me because of my opinions. It's un-American. It's an attack on freedom. And I think whether I agree with the protesters or not is irrelevant. And it should be irrelevant to the federal government. We should be protecting freedom, not eroding it in the service of the president's ideology.